Hey, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. And today we are out here in South Shore, Lake Tahoe on vacation, but not because we're always working. And today we got the performance review on these bad boys right here. This, my friends, is the Nike KD13. But before we get into the sneakers, we do have a sponsor for this video. It's the good folks over at Random Objects. You can check out this brand new t-shirt. Look at that joint right there on the back. Sick. And if you were interested in anything that Random Objects has to offer, click the link in the description box below. We also have a promo code for you to use so you can save some money. And if you did want to grab any of the apparel, you will be supporting a small black business. So if that's important to you, then go ahead and show your support that way. And with that being said, let's go ahead, get right into it. Now, first off, the traction on these bad boys, man, this right here is fantastic. I absolutely love them. It's one of the rare times when I was actually able to try multiple different variations of rubber compounds. So I was able to try the weird multicolor, like solid rubber. We got the clear / translucent / glow soles. These things were pretty good too. And then I had just a regular basic solid rubber outsole, which was actually my favorite, because that was the one that felt like all condition rubber. It just worked all the way around, and I played on some really bad courts because my regular courts are closed right now for quarantine, so we had to make do with what we had. I also played in these outdoors, and they just work both inside, outside. This is just one of my favorite shoes right now. These are fantastic. Now, the traction pattern itself is unconventional. We don't have herringbone, but everything on here works, and it works really well. These guys right here are for linear coverage, so front to back motions, and you got some of these side ones. Those are for lateral. The spirals or the little circles in there work for all directions, and then this guy right here is just extra coverage, both linearly and laterally, with the little rainbowy little spots right there. So this right here again just really works, and it works really well. The only problems that I had indoors was with this particular outsole, the glow sole. It just wasn't as great as the solid rubber. And then again, I have been playing in these outdoors. There is some signs of wear, like some of the traction is chipping off, fraying off, all that stuff. If you know Nike products, then you know that that is pretty much commonplace. So these are not going to last forever, but while they do, they work really well. Now, onto one of my favorite segments, my Mr. Rogers-ish right here. And don't pay attention to these, okay? These not coming out just yet. I'm just testing these for a separate thing. But as far as fit is concerned, I actually bought two different sizes. I bought my true size as well as a half a size down. And what I prefer for playing basketball is actually the true to size. Actually, it wasn't the half size down, I went half size up. That's my fault. But we're not gonna cut that. It's gonna keep it rolling because, you know, how we do. When you're putting the shoe on, by the way, I made the mistake on my really nice Sonics looking pair where I pulled the tongue like this to put the shoe on. I guess I had snagged onto this cheap foam right here too hard, and it just ripped right off. So I don't know if you bought a Nike ID or a Nike by you, or if you're buying them in stores or whatever, but for whatever reason, that foam is mad cheap. So do not hold it like way up here, hold it down here when you're putting them on. Otherwise, this joint is gonna get ripped off. I think that that's kind of a bad move on Nike's part. Should never use material that cheap. So again, I would go true to size for hoops. These guys right here, my toes are right at the edge, but they fit perfectly, and the materials on here are not as nice, in my opinion, as far as performance goes, as last year's KD12. So going true to size is gonna save you some trouble because the upper on these guys is a little flimsy. I'll talk about that in a little bit as far as like the support and everything. If you're a wide footer, try them on, because I don't know, again, this upper in certain areas is a little flimsy, but overall, true to size works best for me. You could go up half a size if that's what you prefer, if you like a little bit of wiggle room and all that stuff, but not me. All right, so real quick, gonna go back down to the traction just because I want to emphasize that that was awesome. Awesome! So again, if you're looking at the traction pattern, that really kind of tells the wear what the coverage is gonna be about. So you got that linear coverage, gonna be great for toe offs or stops. Then you got that lateral coverage for side to side, popping around the screen, step backs, all that kind of good stuff. Ooh, that was not good. So again, this traction right here, man, I just had no real problems with it other than on the worst of courts. I really love this thing. So the cushion on the KD13 is just like the KD12s, but with some slight variations. We have a full-length Zoom Strobel unit directly underneath the insole. So the insole is actually like the thing that you're gonna like not notice, but you should notice, because that guy right there is just like what was featured in the Nike Zoom Kobe 6 way back when, and what it does is it actually molds to your feet. Excellent. And the thing is awesome, and it allows you to really feel that Zoom Strobel unit way better than on the KD12s. And the KD12s is already mad comfy. So if you want some full length cushion for a good price, this shoe is where it's at, especially right now. Although malls just closed again, but when they reopened, everything was slashed like crazy. You were able to get super steals. So if you were able to get this shoe under retail, I'm telling you, man, even at retail, these are money. And then there's an additional Zoom Air unit directly underneath the forefoot, and it's right underneath that full length Zoom Strobel. So the forefoot especially is just got this nice little spring to it, a nice little snap, and it just feels awesome under your feet. So one of the downsides is that these guys right here are kind of like the KD12, where they're a little bit on the narrow side. They really taper and maneuver or contour right around the foot, so they're not wide and stable, which is something that I personally prefer. If you did like the KD12s though, and that didn't bother you, this should be good. One of the things, again, that I think that these things lack is this lateral little cage that the KD12s had. These guys, you sit in the midsole, but not a lot. Most of it is right here in the rear, which is great for that heel counter, heel containment. That's what gives you that ankle support. But all you have right here for lateral coverage is this little TPU clip, and sometimes that's not enough. And with the way that this outsole is rounded like that, when you're moving laterally, it's great for maneuvers and being quick and all that stuff, almost like a Kyrie. But when you're stopping or pushing off on maybe like the outside of your foot, which is not a good thing, but sometimes it happens, you could actually roll. And so that's the thing that I don't love about these, but otherwise it's all good. The materials though, they actually do not help with that lateral containment issue, because this like fake ripstop stuff right here is just not, it's just not as good as what they used last time. I liked the kind of like triple layered upper that they had on the KD12s with the quad axial fly wire and all that stuff. This right here, sometimes if I'm moving super fast and I go to stop, feel like I'm just rolling over the footbed, which is not an ideal situation. Now, speaking of the materials, again, I feel like these are like real cheap. I don't like the setup really. If it works for you, that's great. I'm not knocking you. I'm not making, you know, like any jokes or any remarks. I'm not throwing no shade, none of that stuff. It's just, this is not my ideal setup. Again, I really like the KD12 setup over this one, but it does have some good features. I like this little flap right here. It's great for ankle lockdown and all that stuff. The tighter that you pull, the tighter that it'll draw you right in the back of the heel. And again, that's where all of this area right there is gonna cup your heel, which is great for that ankle support and mobility. But otherwise, it's just a cheap material. It's been durable so far, but it's just nothing fancy. It doesn't feel like the upper itself is worth that $150. However, the cushion might be. So now we're going to talk about support. So the support features are not as abundant as what I would like, but it's got everything that you need. Underneath the midfoot, there's actually a torsional shank plate, which is great for torsional rigidity. There's not that wrap up here again. There's just that little TPU clip. I wish that there's a little bit more here, maybe just an outrigger at the very least. Most of your support though is right here in the back of the heel, so they're really focusing on that heel and rear lockdown, which is great because sometimes KD likes to pop out of his shoes. Hopefully this makes it so that that does not happen. Although I don't think that we'll be able to see KD play in these, but that's neither here nor there. So that pretty much takes care of it for the performance review on the Nike KD13. Yes, they're bad boys. Yes, they're awesome. Yes, they are technically like the best basketball shoe right now out of 2020, at least so far, but it's because it's the only one that I've really tested, so take that with a grain of salt. But I do really love the shoe. I think that they're fantastic. The traction's money. The cushion is super money. The materials and the fit, they could use a little bit of tweaking. And again, that forefoot stability and support where there should be an outrigger, that is something that I wish that was addressed. But overall, if you like the KD12, then you should be fine with the KD13, especially if you're able to find either one of those two on discount. So real quick, I just want to address a couple things. First thing is, don't do that to your tongue, okay?
Yeah, this is the shoe that was in question.
Yeah, I didn't bring these with me when we went to film and stuff, mostly because the shoe that I played in the most was that 90s kid inspired colorway. This is the traction that I prefer though, is just the solid rubber. This stuff right here, it looks awesome and it glows like crazy, but this is not the best on court, outside or inside. If you want something consistent, go with this one right here. I would show the 90s kid, but I also gave them away while we were up there because there was a bunch of kids at the park and stuff, and one of them were my size. So
yeah, in case you didn't notice all of the ramps behind us during
that place
recording.
was a trip. Yeah, there was hella kids like skating around us. Like it felt like we were in like the middle of a ball.
It felt like we were in a fishbowl. Like
yeah, and it was like really cool. So I really liked it. But one of the kids was actually from here. He's from the Sacramento area. He plays AAU ball. His favorite shoe currently is the Air Jordan 34. So I know that me and him have the same taste. So I was like, here, bruh, I know you're gonna these. So I gave those to him, and he was appreciative.
You found a kindred spirit out in the middle of the woods?
I guess. He was doing kick flips and getting buckets. It was awesome. But yeah, these guys right here are just one of my favorite shoes to hoop in right now, mostly because there's not, You know what I mean? Like, I can't get into a damn gym, and when I do, I normally take these with me. So that's just kind of what it is. There's other shoes that I think are fantastic, like the Jordan 34s. It doesn't really matter which one. It doesn't matter if you're getting the regular one, the SE, the lows. They're all awesome. There's some other shoes like the Kyrie 6 that I think is still a fantastic shoe. I still love the KD 12s. Would I pick the 12 over the 13? Maybe that's like a commonplace question, especially with people that compare the old to the new.
Yeah.
But the only thing that these have over the 12s is the cushion. The cushion is awesome. The traction right here, I didn't have problems with the KD 12s anywhere, but I also didn't have a lot of options with that shoe with solid rubber. A lot of them were translucent. So if you want to avoid any potential issues, then go with this one. The one thing that I wish that these had that they really do lack compared to the 12 is that 4-foot kind of containment. You sit barely into the midsole. Like, we're talking about like a couple of millimeters. Once everything's stacked on top of each other, like the insole and all that stuff, you're almost like, you know, so like there was lots of times when my foot went over the footbed, and that's like a pet peeve of mine. I absolutely don't like that. So that's just one of those things. I think that the material could have prevented that had they used something that was of more quality, but because they went cheap, and that's just kind of like the performance that I found out of it. Otherwise though, you know, they're a good shoe. Again, great traction. The cushion is just like, if anything intrigues you, the cushion is it. Like, if you want to have that cushion where you're just like, yo, every time I put these on, I'm always like, man, these are fucking comfortable. That's just what it is.
Would you say there's any difference between the solid outsole versus that multicolored?
No, actually, I didn't have a big difference. So if you're using this or that weird marbly sole, you should be good. I would avoid
Glow in the dark?
Not just the glow in the dark, but the translucent ones. This is a semi-translucent. That's just what I would recommend. It's up to you though. If you have been able to play, which I'd be surprised. You know, I know that every place is different, like every county, every state, and then now like every country. Some people overseas are able to play while we're not, and stuff like that, which is great for you guys, but not for me. But if you have been playing in them and you want to add any of your input, feel free to let us know in the comment section below. So that pretty much takes care of it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. If you need anything else, everything should be over at the website. It might be a little late. Normally I try to have them go up at the same time. I don't think I'm gonna do that this time.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna stretch the thing a little. I'm just gonna relax a little bit. Still in vacation mode.
Oh,
you know?
I wish I was in vacation mode.
Yeah.
Take me back.
So that's pretty much it. Oh, and stay tuned because I have been testing the NW1, and yeah, I'm fire, man. Like, you got a little sneak peek of the new colorway, right?
Yeah.
Yo. So stay tuned for that video coming up soon, and until next time, guys, have a good one.